Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marcus White.
And I suppose that makes me fight in mode Nick Cavalli or something like that?
And we welcome you to the Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is our Monday Night Raw review. And
Yay! It's back!
yes, we are back doing solo show reviews. With that being said, let's just go ahead and start breaking this one down. So, Raw starts off with the Viper, Randall Keith, and apparently his rematch with Edge is going to be the best match ever, the greatest match ever. Look, I love Randy Orton and I love Edge, two of my favorite superstars in WWE, but the greatest match ever.
Nope.
Really, guys?
Not a chance.
No.
Not a chance.
No.
Look, I love Randy Orton, don't get me wrong, but nothing with Randy Orton in it will ever be the best wrestling match ever. Ever. It doesn't work that way. Could it be great storytelling-wise? Yes, it could be fantastic. It might be the best storytelling match of all time. Will it be the best wrestling match of all time? Nope.
I don't even see it. Well, I don't even agree with that because I think Randy, when he actually tries, is a great wrestler. But it's that. Come on, like both of these guys are like in their mid-40s, like, and they're still amazing. Don't get me wrong. Edge looks great for just coming back, and Randy is in amazing shape. Like, he's a phenomenal athlete. But this is not going to be the greatest match ever. Let's just stop that now. That's just utter nonsense. Second thing was Randy Orton said wrestling. He emphasized it. He was like, this is going to be a wrestling match. It's World Wrestling Entertainment. I thought we had forgot. Honestly, I didn't. I thought they had changed it to World Sports Entertainment. Like, I'm glad somebody remembers that.
They haven't called it the WSE yet.
Yeah, so Randy, he, along with that, says that, athletes are a dime a dozen. We've seen athletes come and go in the WWE, but just like athletes can't do what I do in this ring, what we do in this ring, your superstars can't do what I do in this ring. He says, look, Edge, I know why you didn't accept my challenge last week. It's because all that grit and passion you had, it's now been replaced with doubt and fear. Cue the theme song. So Edge comes out, obviously furious. Edge was trying to cut a promo, and Randy just kept interrupting. He was like, look, man, yes or no, yes or no. So finally Edge goes, yeah, I accept. And Randy, satisfied that he's got his answer, gets up and walks out. So we've got our match, Edge versus Randy Orton, Part 2. I liked it. I liked the promo from Randy Orton. I liked the promo that Edge was starting to do before Randy continued to interrupt him.
I don't know how much of an issue I had with the segment itself as what it's building to. We have a pay-per-view card coming up, and we're going to just mash two 40-year-old dudes together who just had a match last month. I mean, I get that it's going to be popular, but I don't know. I don't feel as excited about this one as I was about the first, because, like, that should have been the end of things.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we've already got... I mean, I get it that now it's going to be just a straight-up wrestling match now, so that's the appeal, but we talked about this before. This should have been done already. I can't be upset about getting a good match, but this was done. But
a straight-up wrestling match doesn't change anything. The feud is over. The feud ended. This is just some BS that WWE was like, oh, we have nothing else for these guys to do at Backlash. Throw them in a feud against each other again.
Well, again, we talked about it. I feel like it is WWE responding to a lot the criticism from the match at Mania. So this is their way of giving people who wanted more of a standard match, giving them what they wanted. So I don't agree with it. I think the match was fine at Mania. I thought that the feud wrapped up nicely, but it is what it is. Again, we're just gonna have to enjoy what we get with the Monday Night Messiah. Yes, he's keeping the gimmick. Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, they come out and Seth said he has something to say. He says that without darkness, there is no light. And I have seen the light. Now, some would say what happened to Rey last week was horrible. It was atrocious. Other people would say that what happened to Rey last week was simply penance for being a non-believer in the Monday Night Messiah. I don't see it that way. I see what happened to Rey as tragic because he had to be used as a sacrifice for my catharsis. What happened to Rey, what I did to Rey was cathartic. Thank you, Rey, for your sacrifice. And all I have to say is, you're welcome. What an asshole.
I mean, hey, we're building character. That's good news. I guess Rip Rey. I mean, we've talked about this, that there's a very high possibility he's going to be leaving the company with his contract coming up soon here. And, just like everybody else that WWE ends a contract with, they're like, how can we put this guy out? Yes, gouge his eyes out on the steps.
What they did in building the Monday Night Messiah character back up, I thought that was great. The way they told this story. Because I was worried coming into this episode of Raw that they were moving in the opposite direction away from this character. And
yes,
quite the opposite. They're actually going full gung-ho, as we will see later on in this episode of Raw. So I enjoyed this. We then got Humberto Carrillo. He comes out. He says, Rey is an idol and Seth is a coward. And Seth Rollins responds saying, look, Humberto, I understand that you're upset. I get it. You want to defend the honor of your idol. But as you can clearly see, I'm not dressed for a match. But my friend Murphy here, he has a match later on against Aleister Black. He'd be happy to oblige if a fight is what you want. First thought that goes to my mind. So Murphy's just cool having 2 matches on Raw. And yeah, they end up having a match. It's Buddy Murphy versus Humberto Carrillo. Okay.
Humberto Carrillo, I love you, but you've been out of the spotlight for so long that this just kind of felt like pointless.
Well, he's Rey's new son, right? So
yeah, I get that, like, he's Dominic's adopted brother and all that. Well, that is, of course, assuming that you still attribute the custody of Dominic to Rey Mysterio and not Brock Lesnar. So, I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Again, it could have been more impactful. Who would I have chosen? I have no idea, because I would not I would have let Rollins cut this awesome promo and walk off.
Yeah, we did need the second Murphy match. I that was kind of pointless. I mean, I guess considering what happens later, it doesn't really matter. But looking at it from a whole show perspective, not realizing what was going to happen later, it just looks like they just threw a match together at the beginning of the show, knowing that Buddy Murphy has another match later on. Humberto ends up getting distracted by Seth Rollins, who's standing on the outside, tries to perform a move, a springboard maneuver, gets caught with a knee, and then gets hit with Murphy's Law for the 1-2-3. So Murphy picks up a win on Monday Night Raw. It's been a minute since I've said that, so that's good for him. Afterwards, Murphy would attack Carrillo, to which Aleister Black comes out.
Cool. The babyface saved the babyface.
Moving on, we have Baron Corbin now. King Corbin is on Monday Night Raw, and he's not a happy camper. He's not a happy camper at all. He's directing orders, obviously upset, yelling at people, saying, I'm a king. I'm supposed to have a private locker room. You guys want me to stay with everybody else? No, I get my own locker room. What are you kidding me? And he's yelling at a referee, saying they wanted me to walk from one building to another to get my own food. Just how you treat your superstars on Monday Night Raw? Don't answer that question. I don't care. So just completely dressing down Monday Night Raw. I did enjoy that. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad to see the brand rivalry be more of a thing. That's something that's super important to me. And of course, I love the King Corbin gimmick when it's done right like this. But at the same time, it adds to that brand rivalry flame just a little bit. But now we have crossover matches. So what's the point of brand rivalries? Because you're just fighting on whatever show.
Well, keep in mind, they said that it's only 4 crossover matches a year. So.
And we waste one on this.
And
tasty.
And we're getting another one already on Friday with Charlotte versus Bayley. So next we get a Liv Morgan promo, and she says that, she learned a lot from losing to Charlotte. She learned that she's like her mother, and that she will not give up, and she is going to become Raw Women's Champion. Sweetie, no, you're not. Look,
it's nice that you think so.
It's nice you have dreams. It's nice to have dreams. I like Liv Morgan, I really do, but come on now, let's be realistic.
Sooner or later.
Maybe at some point, but...
Now, no.
So, out comes the Queen. So, she talked about her appearance on SmackDown last week, which, I'm looking forward to my match with Bayley on SmackDown, because I'm going to get to teach Bayley that, yes, there are levels even to being a champion. Now, as for Monday Night Raw, I've been hearing that Ruby Riott has some things that she wants to say to me. So, Ruby, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Come out and say whatever you want to the Queen. So, Ruby comes out. They don't talk, and they immediately go into their match.
Good work on you guys. Let's set it up so that there's a promo segment, and then don't give a promo segment.
Yep. I don't know if they ran out of time, or I don't know, but
I don't get it.
Yeah, they didn't talk, but they did have a match. It was all right, but Charlotte wins with the figure 8. Cool. Moving on. So, next we get a Bob interview. Out comes MVP to interrupt, and he says, look, pardon the interruption here. I just want to say that, me and Mr. Lashley aren't actually doing business because he's focused on clowns like R-Truth and his wife, Lana. And so that didn't sit well with Bobby, but MVP goes, look, whoa, hey, big man, listen. I don't want none of that for Nelson, but I'm just thinking, what if you put that Nelson on a world champion? You know what happened? You don't know what happened. Wanna know why? Because it's been 13 years since you've had a title opportunity. But I guess you're cool with that, right? Because, you've got trophies at home, right? And you've got a nice trophy wife and everything. So I'm just trying to figure out, when is Lashley going to free Lashley? Think about it.
13 years, you say? That sounds entirely odd, because if I recall, he had a run with a belt about just before the time he came to your company.
I like this promo by MVP. I love the fact that they are really pushing this forward. I love everything about MVP being paired up with Bobby Lashley. Finally, they're doing something with Lashley. They're doing something of importance with MVP. So this is cool. Just continue driving this story. I like this. So, next, something that I completely didn't like, and I wish I could have just skipped, which was the Asuka Championship celebration. Tasty.
This was like the Festival of Friendship, except more cringy, less Jericho, and less heel turn, and more...
I was going to say, also all in Japanese, but...
Well, yeah, that too. I suppose that matters.
And you have Naya come out, which... Yay. She comes out and she basically says what I'm thinking, and I'm pretty sure the entirety of the universe is thinking, what are you celebrating for? You literally got handed the Women's Championship. You didn't earn this. There's nothing to celebrate. You only have this title because Becky Lynch is on maternity leave. All that's going to happen is that when she comes back, she's probably getting her title back, and you're going to be replaced by someone that's way more worthy of being champion.
This reminds me almost exclusively of Paul Heyman's call against John Cena. You're only a world champion because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesdays.
Yep.
Pretty effing much.
Pretty much one of the only times that I've actually enjoyed a Nia Jax promo. Unfortunately, it also means they're setting up for Nia versus Asuka, which I don't want to see that, but it is what it is. They end up attacking Nia Jax. They send her to the outside of the ring, and we move on. Moving on, we get a Corbin interview, a King Corbin interview. Excuse me, I've got to give him his proper respects. So, yes, King Corbin talks about his match with Drew McIntyre. The interviewer asked, "Are you worried about your match at all?" He goes, "Worried? I don't know if you know this or not. I chose the match, so no, I'm not worried. And look, I know all about Drew McIntyre. I spent a year with him following behind me. So, he beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, so he's a fierce competitor. And, he's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve, but he's not perfect. He's going to make mistakes, and I'm going to take advantage of every single mistake. And after I beat him tonight, next time we're going to meet, it's going to be the main event of WrestleMania, and I'm going to take his WWE World Heavyweight Championship."
No, but it's not.
What a leap. Like, how did we go from random match on Raw to main event of next year's WrestleMania?
I would also like to point out, we're literally 11 months away. WWE is going to slow build King Corbin versus Drew McIntyre for 11? No.
No,
They're literally... They don't even have the confidence in themselves to do that with most people. Like, they're still talking about maybe doing The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Of course, Roman's absence and their decision to just absolutely retcon Roman doesn't help. But, like, come on. Yeah, we're going to slow build King Corbin and McIntyre. Be believable, Corbin. I like you.
It's not even just that, but, like, the gap in logic here, how did we go from random match on Raw to main eventing Mania for a championship? Like, you're not even on the same brand as Corbin.
All he had to say was, if I win, I get a match at Backlash. Believable. Entirely believable.
With how they book matches nowadays, I'd believe that at this point.
but no, he had to go all the way full send 11 months from now.
To next year's WrestleMania. So, next we get R-Truth versus Bob. So, Truth says that his cousin, Pretty Ricky, told him that Bob has been bad. He says, "Look, I don't want Bob to put me in a Nelson from The Simpsons again. But look, my childhood hero, John Cena, he wouldn't give up. And I'm not going to give up either. Tom Brady, I hope you're watching."
R-Truth is a beautiful man. He always makes me smile. I mean, I love him in the 24/7 title scene. I even maybe the undercard, but like Bobby Lashley shouldn't be fighting R-Truth.
Well, and that's what MVP was talking about. He's like, look, why are you wasting your time with people like R-Truth? And it's basically saying what we've all been thinking. And so hopefully this match with Bob tonight is R-Truth's last match in this feud, I guess, with Bob. So Lashley obviously wins with a full Nelson. MVP comes out and he applauds Bob. And then we cut to backstage where Bob's wife, Lana, is watching, and she's apparently very upset about something. Yeah, that's not really she's upset that Bob won? Or, what is she mad about? She's, throwing stuff?
Maybe it's because he won a match and MVP's out there. Like, she knows MVP doesn't like her, but, what? What are you upset about? Your husband won a wrestle. I don't get it.
Maybe she's mad because her fake husband won a match, but her real husband lost his job. That'd be something to legitimately be upset about. We miss you, Rusev. We miss you, Rusev. So let's move on now. We've got the Iconics versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for the women's tag team championships, by the way.
First things first, just a shout out to Alexa Bliss on calling yourself out last week, posting on Twitter. I've done some unflattering things on TV, but this might be the most unflattering thing ever, and it's just the gif of her doing the Iconics pose. Yeah, thank you for doing that. That's really awesome. You've been interacting with fans a lot on Twitter lately, and that was really great to see, so shout out to you. You have nothing better to do because you're a tag champion because WWE refuses to utilize you correctly.
Not many women's tag team matches have been good, if any of them really, and this just adds on to that list. This wasn't a good match, and it ends with a disqualification. So Peyton gets in the ring. She's not the legal woman, so this is the second week in a row, by the way, we've kind of seen that. So, hey, get it? There was a mess up last week, I guess. Now they're trying to really drive that home that, hey, this is something. This is a thing we do now. So yeah, Peyton gets in the ring. She attacks Bliss and throws her into the post multiple times. Ref goes, "Yeah, no, you can't do that. Ring the bell. Disqualification."
The point of this entire match was, that's a rule. Okay, listen here, buddy.
Listen up, Marques.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yes, the Iconics get disqualified, and after the match, we see them arguing with each other backstage. Billy's yelling at Peyton, "This was our one chance, and you blew it," and she smacks Peyton Royce. To which Twitter freaked out. Like, Twitter lost their ever-loving mind for a couple minutes there. They did hug and make up. She apologizes, "I'm so sorry," and they cry together, but it didn't matter. Twitter's like losing it. "Don't break up the Iconics. Don't break up the Iconics. Break them up. I don't care. I don't care."
No, stop.
No, this is
the
only
women's tag team left.
This is why I say break them up, because if you break them up, there's no other tag team. So it's just, this is another reason to get rid of the women's tag team championships. I'm okay with this. If we're moving in that direction, do it.
The belt on Nikki and Alexa the rest of the freaking existence of the belts.
And then what? You put them on the Iconics and they defend them against who? That's my point. It doesn't matter. No one cares about the women's tag team division because WWE doesn't care about the women's tag team division. Doesn't matter how many title defenses you put on WWE TV every week. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Next, we see Kairi Sane get attacked by Nia Jax, who was stalking her from behind while she was just enjoying herself, terribly playing her recorder. She gets attacked from behind, and then Asuka finds Kairi. She's being consoled by a referee. She utters the word Nia. Asuka then goes to seek out her attacker. She finds Nia, to which Nia just kind of walks away. Asuka turns her around and punches her in the face, and that's the end of that.
Cool. Sure. Why not? Green light it. Let's go.
Really building this Asuka versus Nia feud that everybody's looking forward to. You know what else people were looking forward to? Natalya versus Shayna Baszler match number 2. But this time, it's a submission match. That's what the people want. Fantastic job, WWE. And I didn't know this. Tell me if I'm wrong, please, but did you know there's no rope breaks in a submission match? I didn't know that. Apparently that's a thing. I never knew that. I could be wrong. I
don't remember that being a thing.
I haven't seen a
submission match in a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen much submission matches, but why?
Because the only way to win is by submissions. You can't be disqualified.
So then I could just go smack somebody with a steel chair and then, like, I've never.
Yeah, and then apply a sleeper hold and they're already passed out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, like this doesn't make sense.
I guess, dude, it makes no sense to me. I feel like it should be just a regular match so you can't get pinned or counted out.
But again, I don't. I could be wrong. If that is the rule, it's the rule, and
I don't know.
But
I mean,
it's stupid if it is. I think it's dumb. Carafuna clutch for the win, as everyone and their mother saw coming. So Natty throws another fit on the after her match, and while she's doing her cat rage thing, the WWE production team starting to set things up for the KO show. So she takes out her aggression on them. She starts throwing all the KO show stuff on the outside of the ring, messing everything up, throwing out the chairs.
Yeah, no, she's just a frustrated babyface.
I do not care. Like, get Natalya off my TV screen. I don't care. I really don't. And speaking of other things I don't care about, Zelina Vega's stable. Zelina Vega and her boys are backstage and they're fighting again. So she comes and breaks it up. And she dresses them all down, says, we're going to go out there, we're going to be focused. She starts with Andrade. She then goes to Angel Garza, and then finally she ends with Austin Theory. She says, do you understand? He says, yes. And then she goes, yes what? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, is Austin Theory a 5-year-old? Like, did I miss something?
No, man, it's a respect thing. She's the matriarch. She demands that respect.
This is like,
yes, ma'am.
I'm sensing a real mommy relationship here, and I don't like it. I don't like anything about this. Austin Theory and Angel Garza were putting on fantastic matches on NXT just a couple months ago, and Andrade, his entire U.S. title reign has been an absolute joke. 2 fixes that need to happen immediately. Get the belt off Andrade and get Austin Theory and Angel Garza back down to NXT. That needs to happen, now. And as I say that, we get to what happens later on Raw. And one of those things, I guess gets fixed, I guess. And the other one may get fixed next week. Prayerfully, please. But I'm so over this stable. I really am.
Yeah, I'm done.
We move on now to the Kevin Owens show. The Kevin Owens show. And he comes out and he talks about, I've been absent since WrestleMania, but in my victory over Seth Rollins, I got a little banged up. But now I'm back and I'm going to introduce my guest, Zelina Vega, the United States Champion Andrade, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory. So they all come out. Kevin Owens promptly stands on the outside of the ring as they enter the ring, and Zelina immediately just goes on a tirade about how, look, you wanted this to be a whole Jerry Springer situation. Everyone and their mother thinks that there's a bunch of dysfunction in our group. There is no dysfunction. And then she asks, you can't even give us the respect to come and interview us inside the ring? To which Kevin Owens responds, some would say I'm actually giving you more respect by standing on the outside of the ring, giving you your own ring. But, to answer your question, why I'm outside the ring, just that, one, I've learned anything from these last couple months. Me in a ring with multiple people normally doesn't go well. And 2, I don't want the ring to be too crowded because you're not my only guest. So out comes Apollo Crews. Yes, he's back. And he immediately attacks Andrade. Kevin Owens and Crews end up having a match against Angel Garza and Andrade. And what happens is we get a Zelina Vega distraction, which normally that leads to a victory, but instead what happens is that Theory accidentally clocks Angel Garza, which leads to a spit-out powerbomb from Apollo Crews for the Kevin Owens and Apollo victory. After the match, they're arguing. Theory's trying to explain it was just an accident. And then Zelina, who's clearly had enough, sicks her boys on them. So Andrade and Angel Garza attack Austin Theory after the match. They brutalize him, and they signal that they are now going to move on, continue their stable, but without Austin Theory. Like, I tweeted out immediately after this, this is great for Theory. Like, yes, this is... Now they just need to get Angel Garza out of there. But, hey, one down, one to go. Am I right?
Absolutely, and I don't mind Garza so much as I did Austin Theory. I mean, Garza fits in well with the group, and they were pushing him when everybody was healthy. No, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a huge Austin Theory fan as well. I'd like to see him on to bigger, better things, greener pastures, whatever you want to say, and we get there, boys and gals.
Yes, we do. So I'm going to skip the whole axe throwing contest thing and move right on along to Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. Yes, next we get Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. And
Black Murphy 4, right?
Tasty. And, you know, it's always a relatively entertaining match, but what's important is what's happening outside the ring. So Seth Rollins is there, and he sees a prone Austin Theory. So he helps him up. He consoles him. Looks him in the eye. Gives him a nod. And Austin Theory rushes the ring and attacks Aleister Black. Him and Murphy gang up on Aleister Black. Seth Rollins gets in the ring. Looks at Austin Theory, embraces him, and it is now official. Austin Theory is now a member of the Disciples.
Yeah, so it's good to see that Seth has not lost his touch in finding disciples, a.k.a. anyone who's been left beaten and battered by the side of the ring.
Yep.
But all seriousness, this is going to be great for Austin Theory. At least I would assume so. Murphy's gotten a pretty good push out of it. Unfortunately, the author's a pain have not. But I think this is going to be really great for Austin Theory, and getting to work with Seth Rollins. There can't be anything better than that for your career.
I'm telling you, man, they just need to go full on like 12 disciple gimmick, man. Like by the end of this, he better have 12 disciples following him to the ring. This, you could do so much with this. I am so happy that they didn't kill this gimmick. That, boy, were we wrong last week. Thankfully, because
and thank God were we.
Yeah, seriously. So moving on, Apollo, of course, is having an interview, and Zelina Vega comes and she challenges Apollo to a match against Andrade. So Apollo says, "You know what? Yeah, I accept. And next week, I'm going to be walking out the next United States champion." So, hey. We've seen one amazing thing with this, and that's Theory leaving for greener pastures with the Seth Rollins discipleship, and now we could see Apollo potentially dethrone Andrade and become the new United States champion.
I don't care who it is. It could be anybody. They could put it on Nicholas. I'd be okay.
Just get it off Andrade.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, this is almost as bad as having to look forward to Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus.
I mean, I'm going to be real. Andrade's title reign has been as bad as Roman's. You've been absent off TV multiple times. You've had maybe 2 title defenses. Your title reign's a joke, dude. You're so focused on random feuds with people that you forget you're wearing a championship around your waist. So
yeah, I gave up on this a long time ago. When, what was it, Humberto Carrillo had the opportunity to go for the U.S. title and they didn't give it to him, and I was like, wow, they're really just gonna let this happen.
Just take the U.S. title off TV for 30 days, right? Why not?
Why not?
Yep.
Well, I mean, whatever.
So hopefully our boy Apollo can pick up the win next week, and we can finally do something with the mid-card title on Monday Night Raw, because Lord knows we need something else to look forward to every week on Monday nights. So, moving on now to the main event. It is the WWE Champion Drew McIntyre versus SmackDown's own King Corbin. And before the match even gets started, Bob and MVP come out, and MVP puts Drew McIntyre on notice, hands the mic over to Bob.
Let MVP handle it. Let him be your Paul Heyman hustle.
Yeah,
don't do this.
When you have MVP there with Bob, why even let Bob talk?
Yep.
Like, he doesn't need to. You have MVP right there. That's the point of lumping them together, is that MVP does the talking, Bob does the walking. That's all. It works.
And it's not quite like the whole Jake Hager thing in AEW where they like let you in on a little bit of his life and stuff like that. Like, understandably, they let the big guy talk. Here it's like, according to WWE, his life is he's married to Rusev's actual wife, lives in Rusev's actual house, and sleeps in Rusev's actual robe. So I'd like...
Yep.
Clearly, you don't care about the reality of the situation, so just make him mute. Make him mute.
And again, when Bob was in TNA, we heard him cut promos. They were normally very short, and they weren't bad. Why? Because they were just the whole time filled with intensity. It's just me big man, me destroy smaller man. Like that. Yep. It's that simple. That's all you have to do is have Bob come out and say, "I'ma crush you," and then look angry and mean. That's all it takes. He doesn't need to come out there and say literally anything else. But this was the most unconvincing promo I've ever heard. Like, when Bob talks, any immediate, like, any thoughts of him having a successful title run immediately go out the window. Because I'm like, oh god, they're going to have him talk the whole time, aren't they? But regardless, Drew McIntyre and King Corbin, this was actually a much better match than I thought it was going to be.
It could have been so much worse. Both of these guys are very agile for their size, though, so I definitely like the match.
Yeah, I thought they told a nice story. Drew McIntyre continuously kicking out of everything at one. I thought that was nice. I mean, again, that's how he beat Brock Lesnar. He just won't stay down. He can take as much punishment as you dish out. We did get one near fall, and that was after King Corbin hit a deep 6. And then finally, this match does end with a Claymore. After the fact, Drew McIntyre stands in the middle of the ring, pointing and screaming at Bob, saying, "Show everybody why you deserve this opportunity. Show everybody who you are. The Lashley that people want to see." So, I am looking forward to that feud.
Yes. Those guys are both massive. It's going to be a fantastic feud. They're both very athletic for their size. So that's something that's going to be really fun to watch. The match between Corbin and McIntyre was what it needed to be. I mean, it never needed to exist in the first place, but what it needed to be for this situation. So, no complaints here. And like I said, I mean, I talked to you a little bit before we got onto the camera, and it's like, I was disappointed with Raw because I always try to come in with those huge expectations that I come into all of our other shows with, because I need to hold them to the same standard. Was it bad by the standards of a Raw? No. It was pretty good by the standards of a Raw. But by the standards of a wrestling show altogether, like a Wednesday night show, this was just subpar. So, not a ton of complaints, but I'm gonna just go ahead and leave it at that.
This still wasn't a good show, and not even by the standards of what Raw had been setting. I mean, we had seen Raw getting better a little bit week by week. I feel like this was, going in the opposite direction. I mean, the stuff with Natalya is bad. Again, we get the horrible Viking Raider Street Profit gimmick stuff, and I don't care about Nia Jax versus Asuka. I just don't. So I don't think this was a good episode of Monday Night Raw. I thought there were some good stuff sprinkled in there, but overall, this just wasn't a very good episode. And part of it's just the fact that you're struggling to keep us entertained throughout the whole night with storylines that we actually care about.
Well, and this is the other thing. I think tonight, while it was a little bit of a low side, there were some points that were a little bit tiring, if you will, but a lot of things got accomplished here. A lot of things were built here. We get the next disciple. We get McIntyre's next opponent. We get a lot of things like that out of the way that are going to help us be more invested going down the line. But that's a problem that the main roster in WWE's had for a little while now, is keeping you invested in storylines, because their storylines really are built for a month-to-month basis. They're built pay-per-view to pay-per-view, and instead of being built for 3 or 4 months. I mean, back in the day, even you'd have 8, 12 pay-per-views a month, but you'd build a big feud for 3 or 4 months and let it span that many pay-per-views. And that's not that long ago that things like that happened. AJ Styles and John Cena battled for, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah.
So now to see that every feud you're putting out there for the most part is a 1-month journey is just, it's sad. We need something to invest in, and that will keep us entertained. If we have nothing to invest in, we're not going to be entertained on a week in and week out basis.
Yeah, they're struggling to create storylines that people obviously care about. And I get, again, that they have a reduced roster, but that's no excuse. You still have enough talent on each show where you should still be able to put together storylines that people can invest in. And this is a perfect opportunity, the fact that you have a reduced roster, to build stars, to create new, use the rising talent you have and build the next John Cena, Roman Reigns, instead of waiting for them to come back. That's the problem with WWE, is that when they lose their top stars, they just try to, tough it out until they get them back, instead of actually trying to create the new one. Because what happens if Roman Reigns ends up leaving WWE? I mean, you got Seth Rollins. I like Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre is becoming that next guy. But as of now, it's like, who takes Roman's place? Yeah. That's the thing.
This is the thing. We've talked about this for a little while, is, when WCW came around and, a lot of the top guys left, there was a wave of people ready to take the next top spot. But in this case, it's not that these people on top have left. It's that they're not there currently.
Right. It's
that currently you're missing Roman Reigns and John Cena and Sami Zayn. Roman Reigns and John Cena. They're not worried about who's going to replace them, because in their mind, they're not gone. But you know what? Both of those guys may never return. John Cena may or may not have retired at WrestleMania, for all we know. And Roman Reigns is so worried about his health that he doesn't want to wrestle right now. And you put yourself in a bad position from a PR standpoint with him. So, I mean, you may never get him back.
Still, my problem isn't even the fact that you need to replace Roman Reigns, because, and I'll go more into this on a future podcast, but my issue isn't the fact that you need to replace one singular star. It's the fact that WWE's had this model of one guy, one major guy carrying the company on his back for like a decade plus, when that doesn't need to be the case. You should just have multiple top guys. Like, you don't need one person carrying your company.
And that's the thing. For about a half decade there, where we had the whole Shield had just broken up and all 3 of those guys were hot as hell, it was 3 guys carrying the company. Yes, of course, John Cena was still big, and yes, of course, Roman Reigns was the biggest, or Seth Rollins at points was the biggest of those 3. But you had 3 guys who could carry your company, 4 guys who could carry your company. AJ Styles comes over. You got 5 guys now who are carrying your company.
Finn Balor's on Monday Night Raw. Shinsuke Nakamura just came up from NXT.
Exactly. So you had a whole host of guys who could carry your company on their back single-handedly if they had to. And you singled out one guy, and he's the one guy who you don't have right now because of what's going on around us.
Exactly. And that's the problem with that type of model, is that look what happens 5-6 years down the line when you fail to create any other major stars, and the one guy you put all your chips in for, he's not there. Now you're left with a roster of amazing talent, but people that no one cares about. So then you have to start from square one again, and you can either A, try to build another singular star, which we saw how well that worked the first time, or build multiple stars at the same time.
And additionally, you got to think about it. It's the Shield was such an anomaly when it comes to building a set of 3 superstars. I mean, these guys went up against the Authority, which that angle's not going to work anymore because that's been overplayed over and over.
There's
and
not even
over
an authority.
and over again.
There's not even an authority figure on SmackDown or Raw anymore.
Right. So I mean, when it comes down to it, some of these things you can't recreate. You caught lightning in a bottle with John Cena. You caught lightning in a bottle with The Shield. You need to just continue trying to push these guys. I mean, Sami Zayn at one point was the future of your company. He just won his first championship, and it wasn't even a world title.
That model just isn't going to be successful anymore. You have to move on. You have to realize that in order to create a successful wrestling company in the modern wrestling era, you can't just have one star and expect to have 3 primetime television shows be successful. It's just not gonna happen.
Well, and this is the other thing, and maybe I'm just fangirling a little bit here, but over on Wednesday nights on Dynamite, they just as easily could have been like Kenny Omega, hottest wrestler in the world, push him to the top. Nobody else matters. He'll sell all the tickets he needs to sell. And that's a great model for right now. In fact, quite frankly, if I'm starting a wrestling company, I'm probably doing that for the first couple of years. But what they're doing is they're taking their time to build other talent, which is something NXT is doing. And they are doing it very well. They are building other talent. It's not just Adam Cole. But when you look at the main roster, who do you have? You have Roman, who's missing. You have maybe Braun, I guess. You have Bray, who you ruined, brought back, and we don't even know now. And you have Drew McIntyre, who is
Seth.
Very, very good. And yeah, Seth Rollins. But, I mean, Rollins just lost to McIntyre.
Yep.
You really don't have any title threats on SmackDown other than Bray Wyatt, which, again, because you put all your chips in the Roman basket, it is what it is, man. They have dug themselves into this hole. They have to figure out their way out of it.
You look at AEW, and you've got multiple people on that roster that could be their John Cena. I mean, you said it, Kenny Omega, but you have Cody Rhodes. You have a Jon Moxley. Like, you have multiple people that with any other wrestling company, including WWE, you could put them in that number 1 guy slot and say, take us to the promised land. You could do that so easily. But they're not doing that. They're saying, okay, you know what? How about all of you have a slice of the pie? And they understand that in order to have a successful wrestling show, you have to build multiple people so that way when you hear that person's theme song, the crowd doesn't immediately fall asleep and go, when's Kenny coming out?
And that's the funny thing. Like, if you talk about AEW at this point, there's like 2 guys on the roster that I don't care about. Everybody else, like, their theme hits, I'm like, yes, let's go.
Exactly.
And then it's like Brandon Cutler, who he continues to get better.
Like, I shouldn't watch an episode of Raw and like 80% of the talent I hear their theme and go, oh god, like when is this over already? Like, I shouldn't have to hear like that guitar riff, which was so synonymous with Bret Hart, used to get the crowd pumped up, and now I hear it from Natalia and I'm just like, oh, can I fast forward, please? Like, that's not what I should be thinking.
And the funny thing is, it's not even just from a Bret Hart standpoint. There was a time where Natalia was so good that, I was like, yeah, let's go, Natty. We got this. Like, 4 or 5 years ago, I was a huge Natalia Neidhart fan. What happened? I don't care.
Yeah.
You didn't make me care. And it's not Natty's fault. It's yours, Vincent.
Yeah, I shouldn't hear, I'm not like most girls, and just go, oh, God, cringe, cut the TV off, change the channel, I don't want to see this. I can't over complain, but I just don't care. I just don't. And until you make me care, I'm going to continue to come on this podcast week in and week out and tell you how much I don't care. Till you make us care, we're just going to continue to tell you why we don't. So, match of the night.
I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre and King Corbin. I rather liked their matchup.
That is also where I am going. I do think, not only because it was one of the few matches on this card, but it was actually a good match. There was no interference in this match. One of the few times that happened on this show where a match did end in disqualification or something. I enjoyed it, which I did not think coming into this show that's what I was going to be saying, but you surprised me. So good on you there, Drew and Corbin. Good on you, WWE. What is your MVP for tonight?
I'm going to give it to MVP. I wanted to go with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley had a really good night, but I'm going to give my MVP to Montel Vontavious Porter. Just again, great work on the mic. You're going to be a fantastic manager. I cannot wait for this to go further.
You had the opportunity to say, I give my MVP to MVP, and you didn't take it there. So just for that, like, what the hell, man? But no, actually, that is where I'm going. My MVP is going to be to MVP because you did the thing. Again, and I'm going to keep saying it every week, I am so excited for the MVP Bob stable. I can't wait. And now we're actually getting title match implications. So this is fantastic. I love it. So thank you, MVP, for getting our boy Lashley in the right direction. Looking forward to that feud. So with that being said, that was our Monday Night Raw review.
Are you ready for a good time?
Yes, on Friday, we are bringing it back. The Friday Night SmackDown review is back. So excited for that. So, and then also on Saturday night, we will be watching Double or Nothing, and then that review will be coming up Sunday morning, so make sure you look forward to that. The Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast is currently only available on the YouTubes. So sad. You can go ahead and follow us on the Spotify, the iTunes, Google Play Podcast, and the always lovely Podbean, as well as any other place you find fantastic pro wrestling podcasts like ourselves. Make sure to follow us on all our social medias, Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram. Links to those are down in the description down below, as well as to like and subscribe to join the Wrevolution. So, with that being said, live from Studio 6, my name is Marcus White.
And live from my spare bedroom at a time that everyone else is asleep, my name is Fight Mode Nick Cavalli.
And we invite you, as always, to join the Wrevolution.